Next level.
As we discussed in the RC Part 1 lecture, we introduced an ACT framework that can help us solve RC in a structured way. In this lecture, I am going to explain the use of the ACT framework and its application for solving an RC. But before that, let me try to explain some keywords of the ACT framework and their easy, relevant definition. Just a disclaimer, let's try not to copy the textbook language. Let's only focus on understanding in that way which we can easily understand. Now, during the last lecture, we mentioned past information, the author's opinion, and the two forms of author's opinion, which are contradicting and supporting. I have already mentioned these three terms in the Reading Comprehension Part 1 lecture. In case anyone has not seen the first part, I have again attached a link in the description box below. Now, let's see the first one, past information. When I say the past information, I mean to say that the past information is just a reported fact. Anything that is reported in the past is always in the public domain. Public domain means that the same information is known to everyone. For example, if I search on the internet for which team has won the IPL 2026, I'll get one single result, which is RCB. In fact, everyone of us will get the same result. And why is this? Because this is just a reported fact, which is a past event. And so is the reason that it is in the public domain. Now, a reported fact doesn't necessarily have to be in the past. A reported fact can also be in the present. A reported fact can also be in the future. But in 80 to 90% of the RCs that we practice, a reported fact is in the past. That's the reason that I have clubbed a reported fact with a past date. In any confusion, just forget about the dates and focus on the keyword reported fact. Many of the times, a reported fact is confused with a set of events. No, these are completely two different things. For example, if on 1st of June 2026, there is an announcement that on 15th August 2050, a global meeting on climate change will happen in the UK. Now see, there are two dates. Because it is reported on 1st June 2026, so it becomes a reported fact on 1st June 2026. But the set of events may or may not happen in the UK on 15th August 2050. So let's keep it very simple. Any piece of information that is in the public domain is just a reported fact. Also, a reported fact can be true or false. So every reported fact in the public domain is not always true. See, in Hindi, there are three words: sahi, galat, and such. Aspirants sometimes get confused with such and sahi. So let's avoid whether the reported fact is true or false. Just focus on the reported fact. Okay, let's search for a reported fact on the internet. If I type in whether the sun revolves around the earth or not, let me scroll down. Yes, see, there's a reported fact in the past, some geocentric model. Now here, this reported fact is a false statement, but the author can also use this piece of information as a reported fact in a reading comprehension. Moving further, an opinion is something that I type over the internet and then it gives multiple replies. And again, opinion can be either contradicting or supporting. To summarize it briefly, a fact is always one single piece of information on the internet, while an opinion has multiple pieces of information. And this is when we qualify any piece of information, whether it is a fact or an opinion. Now let's follow two basic steps. First, identify if the statement is a fact or an opinion. And if opinion, then what sort of opinion is it? Second, sometimes a reported fact is also considered as an author's opinion. Then we can express it as F plus O plus C or F plus O plus S. Let's understand the second one through an example. In the 12th century, people used to believe that the sun revolved around the earth, but Nicholas in 1473 was the astronomer who formulated the mathematical model proving the earth revolves around the sun. Okay, so statement 1 is just a fact, while statement 2 is another fact and acts as the author's opinion because of its contradicting nature. Now the ACT framework is like that we create 3 columns and give every column a name as per the ACT framework. The first one is the author, the second one is the context, and the third one is the tone. We have to apply the ACT framework to every statement individually. I personally work on the context first, followed by the author and tone. Some basic rules before we actually start. Always use simple and original words in context. Try not to copy from the RC. The reason is that the real context is always hidden, implicit. So just treat yourself as a 10-year-old kid and use simple words for the context. Now the tone has 3 forms: positive, negative, or just neutral. I hope there is no need to explain this. Now for the author, we will apply the same learning we just studied almost a minute ago. Let's take an example. The quest for sustainable energy resources has led scientists to explore various alternatives to fossil fuels. However, the intermittent nature of solar power, dependent on weather conditions and daylight hours, remains a major drawback. So the context is in search of energies, and the tone is purely positive because at least someone is trying for a better cause. Now in the first column, it is only a fact. So simply write it as F within a bracket, and because O, opinion, is missing, there is no presence of the author. But statement 2 is more like an opinion with a contradicting tone because of this word however. So this is O plus C. The context is to fix the existing sources of energy first, and the tone is negative. I hope I've explained till now using the very basic examples. Now let's apply the real reading comprehension problem statement. We are active on social media platforms with Instagram, Facebook group, WhatsApp group, and Telegram group. In case you like to be a part of any such groups where you are free to exchange a MBA related conversation with other aspirants, you may join any of these as per your comfort level. The links to all such groups are already mentioned in the description box. Stay tuned for the upcoming lecture. Happy learning and all the best for the upcoming examinations. Thank you very much. Let's solve the very first RC using the ACT framework. First, we need to identify the relevant message hidden in every statement because every statement carries a unique context. The context should be purely expressed in our own words, and make sure that the selected words for context are extremely simple and brief as much as possible. I would also advise writing the context using in our own 3 to 5 words. For that reason, I've highlighted the words in the above RC statements according to a certain rule, which I'll briefly explain later in this lecture. And as we discussed earlier in this lecture and in the previous RC lecture, in this reading comprehension, I clearly highlighted a word which is but, as it presents a complete contradiction, taking the above mentioned facts as a reference. As we understood earlier, now let's try to decode every statement as per the ACT framework, wherein we create 3 different columns, and every column header just represents author, context, and tone from the ACT framework. Now, statement 1 is more like a subjective reported fact which happened in the year 1742, and the core idea revolves around some theory of numbers, and without which the first statement doesn't have any meaning. And it also carries a neutral sentiment. Neutral as in
if we are least bothered by its existence, or we as an audience don't have much in-depth knowledge, so we take it just as a reported fact that is not close to our hearts. There could also be other similar reasons to consider it as a neutral. Now statement 2 has a very simple context, wherein an even number can be expressed as a sum of two prime numbers, which also carries some sort of neutral sentiment. Again, maybe because it doesn't affect larger audiences, so is the reason that we can also take it as a neutral. Our objective as an aspirant is to save our time. And taking this as a fact, if we closely look at this is statement number 3, it almost has the same contextual sentiment as statement number 2. So we can also skip writing the context if it has the same sentiment as in the preceding statements. Now, statement number 4 is purely an opinion. Anything which is not reported can also be considered as an opinion. But because of this word but, this opinion is purely contradicting, and for that reason, author has finally appeared in the statement number 4 with his own view. And his view says that there are too many mathematical attempts to prove or disprove Goldbach conjecture, but no one could succeed till now. In a way, author doesn't disregard mathematicians, but he's being more eager to know the reason for all such mathematical attempts so far. And because of this contradicting behavior, there is a clear tone of negative. In the last slide, I've also introduced the relevant versus irrelevant rule exactly above the first paragraph of this RC. Not every statement carries all the necessary words. In fact, within a statement, there are only certain words that have some weightages, and the entire context revolves around such set of relevant words. If we are able to figure out such relevant words, then it really saves time, and we can frame the true context from these relevant words within a statement, avoiding textbook information or Google various definitions. Practically speaking, relevant words are those set of words where there is a message. So, for our understanding, we can say set of words is like synonym to its corresponding message. Now, for example, there is a certain set of words within a statement that doesn't have any message. For example, in this RC, mathematician names are only creating a problem for us to memorize. But in reality, all such names do not have any hidden message. So if there are names of organizations, reports, publications, etc., they don't all have any hidden message. So the best way is not to focus on such irrelevant words. Now solving the second paragraph of this RC, we repeat the same process by creating three columns. As mentioned earlier, our main focus would again be on context. Till now, we have figured out that the author is very eager to see all such mathematical attempts, either to prove or disprove the Goldbach conjecture. In statement number 5, the first attempt is done by a mathematician and the result is yet to be verified if his attempt was a success or a failure. And in statement number 6, the author really finds the given fact as a reference to form his own opinion. Now, in this statement number 6, it is clearly verified that it was just an attempt because it is clearly stated that an even number can be expressed as the sum of two prime numbers to the sum of 3 lakh prime numbers. So, in a way, this attempt is not even proving Goldbach conjecture or disproving Goldbach conjecture. The author is still eager to see any further constructive mathematical attempts. Now, in statement 7, there has been a second attempt by another mathematician, and it is more accurate than the first. In this attempt, it is stated that an even number can be expressed as the sum of four prime numbers, whereas the Goldbach conjecture is strictly for an even number expressed as the sum of two prime numbers. So the author again has the same opinion that no mathematician till now has either proven or disproven the Goldbach conjecture. The author is still using the information as a fact plus opinion to express his willingness if any mathematician could prove or disprove the Goldbach conjecture. Finally, the author has come to the conclusion that it is difficult to witness any mathematician to either prove or disprove the Goldbach conjecture. The mathematical attempts, as per the author, are regarded as more accurate than the preceding attempts, and every attempt is coming close to proving the Goldbach conjecture. But till the time it is not proven, it is always considered as half the work done. And so is the reason that the author believes that even in the near future, no mathematician can exactly say either yes or no to the Goldbach conjecture. Okay, let's jump to the Q&A. The first problem statement is to find out the main idea in the passage. And because this RC is purely owned by the author, we have to look for ideas from the author's perspective, not from our perspective. I repeat that it is purely the author's perspective. And the author has no interest in whether Goldbach's conjecture is fundamental or not. And based on that, option 1 is rejected. Now, option 2 says that Goldbach was a genius. As per the author, yes, he was a genius. But other mathematicians were also brilliant. So, Goldbach was not the only genius as per the author. And option 2 is also rejected. If we look at option number 3, it says that the Goldbach conjecture can be verified with simple examples. It has another meaning that Goldbach conjecture cannot be verified with a simple example, which is not the case over here. And based on that, option C is also not considered. Generally speaking, there are different elimination strategies, and the two most common strategies are avoiding bias and avoiding extreme situations. Extreme words are on the extreme left and on the extreme right. Here is option number 4. It is the same as what we have understood from the author's perspective. The author has clearly stated that he was only interested in seeing such mathematical attempts to prove or disprove the Goldbach conjecture. Finally, verifying option number 5 that says even if any mathematician is very close to proving the Goldbach conjecture, it is acceptable. But the author needs complete verification, and so is the reason that option E can also not be considered. Now, coming to the second question, which highlights the word infer. Before we go to the options, we should again know that our inference doesn't matter. It is purely the author's inference that matters. Now, coming to option number 1. The last attempt done by a mathematician was very close to proving the Goldbach conjecture. But is there any guarantee that if there were a third attempt, the yet unproven part can also be proven? No. There's no guarantee as such as per the author. And that is why the yet unproven part has no relation to the last two steps. And so is the reason that option 1 cannot be accepted. Now, if we look at option number 2, there are two sets of events. The first one is a small number of remaining steps, and the second one is the word toughest from option 2. Yes, as per the author, with more mathematical attempts, we are coming closer to proving the Goldbach conjecture. And because the last two steps are tough, the author believes that even in the near future, no other mathematician can prove the Goldbach conjecture correctly. Again, verifying option number 3, there are two sets of events. The first one is the sum of 6 primes, and the second one is the sum of 4 primes. In option number 3, as per the author and as per the mathematical attempts made, there's no pattern as such. And so, option number 3 is also eliminated. These two sets of events have no correlation with each other. Now, option number 4 speaks about 300,000 steps, and in fact, it is all about 300,000 prime numbers, not steps. While option number 5 also has two sets of events, the number of steps pending and level of difficulty from option number 2. We have seen that these two sets of events are directly proportional to each other, not inversely proportional to each other. Reiterating the above, the number of steps and the number of prime numbers are completely two different things, and the number of pending steps to prove the Goldbach conjecture is purely directly proportional to the level of difficulty, and that is why this is the author's inference. Let's go to the third question. We have to identify the most consistent. It means we can have more than one consistent option, but we have to choose only the one which is the most relevant. The best way to solve any RC is to first use the elimination strategy, followed by finding out the closeness with the author's true opinion. Now let's go to the first option. The author cannot even say if the rest of the theorems are proven or not. The author is only certain that the Goldbach conjecture is neither proven nor disproven yet. And because there is no information whether the mathematical theorems apart from the Goldbach conjecture are proven or not, we are eliminating option number 1. The option number 2 is in fact a bias statement. Bias as in, if any mathematical theorem is difficult to prove and then it can only be verified with simple examples, but in reality, to prove any mathematical theorem, it doesn't have any relation with either a simple example or a difficult example as per the author, and thus option 2 is also eliminated. Now, coming to the option number 3. Yes, as of now, it looks consistent because, as per the author, irrespective of the level of difficulty to prove any mathematical theorem, the theorem itself has to be proven first. This is what the author also believes. While option number 4 is purely a bias statement based on the word cannot. Does the author believe that the mathematicians are incompetent? No, that is not the case. The author doesn't have any doubt about the merits of a mathematician. It is all about checking if any mathematician can prove or disprove the Goldbach conjecture. Now, let's go to the option number 5. Yes, there's a significant uncertainty regarding the proof of all difficult mathematical propositions. But does the author really have information about the uncertainty of all difficult mathematical proposition or only the Goldbach conjecture? I agree that in a rush and under examination pressure, we may skip to focus on one single word. Even in that case, option number 5 cannot be considered the most consistent as compared to option number 3. And that finally makes any aspirant closely examine whether it is option number 3 or option number 5. And in the second reading, we should be able to clearly see the word all, which makes option number 5 inconsistent. Finally, highlighting the same elimination strategy, which says first, avoid biased statements. The author treats himself as unbiased, and so is the reason that the author avoids any biased option. Second, avoiding extreme words. Extreme words always carry high energy. And finally, always keep yourself in the author's shoes. It means do not form your own opinion and always think from the perspective of the author. Thank you so much.
We encourage everyone to complete the homework and submit their answers in the respective groups. The links to all the groups are available in the description box. Next Sunday, we will go live and solve the homework exclusively for group members, discussing the solutions and addressing any questions you may have. Make sure to submit your answers before then.